I'm a great believer in free speech. The Civil Liberties Union in Illinois, which had a very strong Jewish participation, backed up the right for Nazis to march through a Jewish section on civil liberties grounds. I think that's a little bit extreme, but I would certainly say that if you want to hate me because I'm Jewish, you want to hate somebody who's black or brown or Asian or indigenous, free speech does not guarantee that everybody's going to be polite. However, there is, as the old saying goes, a time and a place. And what Shiloh Hendricks did in Minnesota in terms of walking up to a 5-year-old child and screaming the N-word in front of her father and then doubling down again on several occasions, that is not free speech because that is a captive audience. Now, as a school teacher, and I've been a school teacher, I'm all for children debating, but I could not have in my classroom one child who is openly racist. It doesn't matter what group they're against, Jews, Muslims, blacks, whatever. Because the children there who are being attacked or represent the group that's being attacked are a captive audience. They can't get away from that. If a Nazi holds a public rally, does not make direct threats, physical threats against a human being, you and I don't have to go to that political rally. But a kid with Nazi type ideas in the restrictions of a classroom, no, this does not go. And as far as I'm concerned, Shiloh Hendricks, this wasn't free speech. This was aggressive. This was in your face. It was almost physical if you scream at a child like that. And she should suffer the consequences. Now, whether it should go so far as that she has to leave Rochester, Minnesota and relocate, that's open to question. But I think that some form of punishment is due because, again, this is not free speech. This is a playground. This is somebody who's both the father and the child are a captive audience, and she's making a direct personal attack. And so I think that she should suffer the consequences. And it's the same with Lily, who participated openly racist, thinks that white people are discriminated against, who participated in Piers Morgan's show, has to take the opprobrium that comes. You have a right to say that, well, just take an example, that Jewish people are this, that, the other thing. And I have the right as a human being, in my case as a Jew, to say you're lower than Drek. And that applies to any group that's being attacked. So what I'm saying is you can't use the mask of free speech to say, well, if it's free speech, this person shouldn't be insulted for free speech, because it works both ways. I can't avoid your insulting me because of free speech, but you can't avoid my and my fellow citizens' reaction of raining proverbial dung on your head for what you said. So there are distinctions that have to be made in this department. And I have the same feeling about Shiloh Hendricks that I had about Brian Thompson, the CEO who was assassinated. I don't feel sorry for her. Maybe it's a little bit extreme that she has to be chased out of the community, although the father of the child was also threatened. They had to raise purse strings for him to protect. Of course, nobody talked about that. But I just don't think that she is particularly worthy of sympathy on grounds of free speech. And, well, I don't think she will be capable of learning a lesson. And finally, the final thing that I want to say about this is that it started with Trump, but it's now spread where if one person, like Lily on Piers Morgan's show, says, of course I'm racist. I use the N-word whenever I feel like it, whenever I think it's appropriate. In front of white people, in front of black people, anybody. I'm not talking about civil liberties anymore. I'm just saying what's happening now is that just as Trump has lowered public discourse to below sewage level, the N-word and other forms of racism are going to return, where people have been, even sort of right-wingers say, you shouldn't say this. Now you get a few people who say, yeah, openly, what are you going to do about it? And you're going to see further steps toward the decline of civilization.